The floor is mine. Oh. Trevor, I'm about to start. Stay. What's that? Well, hello. How we doing? Thank you so much for coming out and supporting me. I appreciate it. I'm so grateful. Um, yeah, so some of you know I'm Jacob Lasher. I've written some books here, and I'm going to be talking about it today. So hopefully you enjoy the ride. Um, yeah, I guess we'll get started. So, who am I? I'm Jacob Lasher. Hold on. Wait, how'd that get in there? Looking for gay love? So I'm obviously not the best at this PowerPoint thing. Just roll with it. But that's me. That's me last year. That's me with my dog Electra, who looks like Radley over there. So yeah, I mean, I'm just so grateful that y'all made it out. I know y'all have a lot of things to do, so thank you for making time for me. So I appreciate that. So when did I start writing? I started writing when I was about 9 years old. I wrote this book called The Sunrise Fading. It was the worst thing that ever existed. It started off as a plagiarism of The Mummy Returns, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and some Final Fantasy stuff. So I really don't know. It was so bad. I mean, the main villain was called Mage Bob. What kind of villain is Bob? So I'm just saying. And then I wrote my second book when I was 17, and then I just started. I needed to write. Why do I write? Because of that guy. That was me. What are we playing? What are we playing? It's not Clue, because obviously, like, there's a murder in Clue. So that was in kindergarten. But we're doing something like Clue, but any gay. So why do I write? I write because I want to help people, and I want to help, and it helped me to tell these stories that I'm about to tell you about. So I'm going to be talking about mainly the new book, Live by the Sword, which just came out. That's right. Very proud of this. However, I have some other books that I'm going to talk about first, but the Live by the Sword will be the bulk of this presentation, and I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, that's the book. So I've written 9 books because I'm crazy. Yeah. Every time he barks, you have to applaud. That's the rule here. So, my goodness, I can't believe the journey I've been on with these books. It's so wild, and I have a lot to say. So let's get started. So, I found this post the other day. Back in 2018, I announced I'm going to be publishing my first book. So I'm overjoyed to announce that I'll be publishing my first book soon. It should be out in a month, and I will let you know about the process as it goes on. I am so excited for my book to come out. The title is More to Life. More to Life. That's the book. It's right there. I love covers. I just love the cover of my books. That's one thing. I always judge books by a cover. You have to. Like, we've all been to Barnes and Noble, and you're like looking for a book, and you're like, oh, what's that? You're not going to buy that one. No. So, More to Life. That's essentially my poetic autobiography. This is the book that I hold closest to my heart. Poems that, so half my books, so for those who don't know, half my books are poetry, half my books are fiction. I love doing both, and that's just how we're going to do things forever. So I'm going to never stop writing, and I'm never going to stop writing poetry. I'm not going to stop writing about these crazy villains that need to be taken down, no matter what happens. Because obviously, I'm an independent artist. I'm not, thriving, but I'm thriving in enrichment because people here wanted to be here. So I really am grateful for you to make out. So got a little emotional there. This is a scrapbook of my soul, recounting the days that shaped me, raw lines from a restless heart in search of peace. Some of these poems in here I wrote when I was 15, 18, 20, and it's just 15, I'm 30 now, and that's half my life ago. So it's just, and some of the works that I'm going to talk about came from a very dark time in my life. And I just want to say, I'm not that sad anymore, so don't worry. I'm still little, but I've come very far in my journey. I really have. Went from, trigger warning, wanting to die every single day, trying to actually being afraid to die, which is like a huge 180. And I'm ready to begin life again. So that's what more to life is all about. There's got to be more to life than the nonsense we've been through. There's got to be more to life than the chaos. So that's that. And some of the quotes from the book is sometimes I feel like I'm not attached to this world, or it's as if I'm drifting away. If only and yeah, dissociation, derealization, feeling like you're drifting out of your body. I really struggled with that when I was 19, out of the traumatic house I was living in. One of the poems is called Glass House. One of the lines is, if only this house was made of glass, I could peek into the glass house and notice the monster I fear. You'd know and see it. I saw this music video years and years ago, and the person in this music video was very much like we shared experiences. And people were walking by on the street, but their house, like it was like a window, like when you're walking the street and you see a little boutique, you see clothes, you're like, huh, I'm gonna get that on sale. Except the sale is you're seeing some abuse go down and wondering if people would intervene and stuff like that. So, and then one of the biggest things I'm ever going to talk about is please don't let this world bring you down. Don't lose your color. Don't lose that innate child-like character you have in yourself. Don't lose the dignity you have. Don't lose that truth that you hold. Always stay true to yourself. And that's a theme for Live by the Sword. A lot of my books share kind of the same theme of discovery and finding reason and finding strength and beginning again, resurgence. So I really wanted to talk about that. And to sum up more to life, now I pose a true and real question. How much say do we have in all of this? How much control do we have to create our own trophy life? All I know is back then I didn't have much to say, but then I didn't have much say, but now I do. There has to be more to life than this, and there is. And I had a fan draw this for me, and I love it so much, and I wanted to share it with you. Actually, it's Casey. Casey is my fan and friend now, and I love her so much. So, yay! Cup of coffee. Like I said, I wrote a lot of these books to process a lot of things. I didn't process anything. I dissociated for most of my life because I had to. I had no choice. So, Cup of Coffee came from a dream that I had about my mother and the possible reunion that we could have. So, yeah, yeah, about a dream about delayed grief because I remember being in the hospital, and so she went into a coma, came out of it, went back into a coma, passed away. Yikes, not a good time. Everyone in the hospital was crying. I wasn't. I was confused. I was angry. Actually, I remember reading More to Life at her hospital bed. It was not published yet. It came out 3 days after she passed away, which is disappointing. However, I don't. I think her passing really helped me because she needed to get peace, like be at peace, because she was a very mentally ill person. And so, unfortunately, we didn't get that closure. Um, and that's okay because some things are just unanswered and you have to make peace with that. And some stories just have to end that way. And I know it sounds very melancholy right now, but I'm overwhelmed with emotion because I'm just grateful to be here. But some of the lines are, the house seems vacant, but the shell of a woman lives inside. I believe there is light and darkness in every person that goes beyond their skin. That's something I really hold true to, even when I'm driving and someone cuts me off, and I'm like, wait, they have purpose. Everyone is a lovely soul. They're probably on their way to visit their wife or whatever in the hospital, giving birth. That's what I try. So it's in the photographs that you weren't very happy. I think in time we can definitely see that people that we've lost to mental illness, we don't recognize the signs, unfortunately. So I just want to talk about that. And following up is hurt people hurt other people. Doesn't make it okay though. I can't stop repeating that. I've accepted it now. You were desperate for something, approval or love, something to make you not hurt anymore. You were willing to go to the darkest places, but I think you just wanted happiness. And I think I'm very glad my mother is not in pain anymore. And her passing actually helped me find some closure. It came later, but I just was angry. And then that came to understanding. I remember just realize I'm so glad I don't have that anger anymore. I just see someone who never got the chance that she deserved. Everyone deserves a chance to heal and grow. Um, Unfortunately, that doesn't happen for everyone, but it's happening for me. I have come so far. I didn't think I was going to make it past 19, but here I am. And I'm just very happy that I'm here. And that was not, yeah, yeah. Leaky Faucets. I love this cover so much. It's not a horror novel. It looks like it could be one. Jaws the Revenge. um, so my first three books were poetry, and then I started diving into fiction. So this one, I will say, wow, much less depressing. It's a lyrical ode to anxiety, so there is some stressors, obviously. It's basically about my continued search for discovery and how I've never been the one. I never wanted to give up. I never did give up on myself. There were times when I fell short. There were times when I wanted to give up, but I just pushed through because I knew there was more to life. So, yeah. The faucet is leaking and I can't fix it. That to me symbolizes how when I have an anxiety attack or I could feel it coming, it's like about to burst through. Um, that's what that I connect that with. The thought of looking someone in the eye has my stomach turning and I feel confined. I don't know if that's the autism. It could be trauma related. I don't know, but just saying. Vulnerability can be intimidating but necessary for the soul. That was a follow up to that. Sometimes I get so afraid to live that I just don't, and that's a lot of people struggle with that, being afraid of what life has to offer, because life does have to offer a lot of shitty things. But there's so much beauty out there in the world. And if you just go outside and look at the sky, the sun came out for us today. You know what I mean? Like I know that's so hippie of me to say that nature is so beautiful and there's so much. I mean, I grew up in a forest, and you'll find that out because I have a book called Boy in the Woods coming up. And I was very isolated, and I thought this was all there. That's why I'm very big on there's more than what I've seen. I want to see it all. I want to do it all. And I spent a long time being afraid, terrified. But I'm living now, and that's wonderful because I'm tired of being conditioned by my condition. That's something that I wrote 5 years ago, and I swear that's been my mantra. So, and actually, when the tram was closed, we were doing poetry night at this place called The Other Side, on the other side of town. It's an art gallery. Check it out. And there was the prompt, lust, which lust could mean a lot of things, obviously. But I have this lust to reinvent myself, to be fickle because being fickle is something that I think is extraordinary. I want someone to change my mind, my opinion on everything and anything. I want to broaden my horizons. I want to see beyond the broken details. I want depth. I want more. I have a lust for growth, and I am growing. I am swimming in the ocean of progress. So that's Leaky Faucets. We Remain. Now, this is my first book that's published that's fiction, and that's something I always started off on fiction. I didn't want to, I wrote lyrics, I wrote poetry, but I didn't think that was something I would publish. I just kind of just did it. I just, you know what I mean? And I just came here to the tram in 2017. I had a friend, her name is Megan. She told me it was poetry night. I'm like, what? And I feel like people who hear about poetry night and the tram, and you're like, what? Like that's always the first thing. That's in Utica. Like we have, and it's like, yes, you should come. And also everyone here, you should definitely buy something and support this wonderful venue. They are amazing people. The food is amazing. They're blueberry muffins I get every time I'm here. So I definitely say. So, We Remain. I have a lot to say about We Remain. So I got this idea because some years ago there was this girl who was held captive for like 20 years and then she got out and there was no follow-up. And I always wonder, I'm like, so this girl went through the worst of humanity can go through. So how what's the follow? This is the follow up. It's my book called We Were Ready. And so this girl Kristen, she was rescued about 6 years after being kidnapped and tortured and the worst things that happen to humanity that can happen to people. She was kidnapped at her right before her prom, so she was about 17 years old, and she's brought back to the real world at age 23, and so much has changed, obviously. Being 17 to 23 is just a huge gap of time. Her best friend's engaged, her parents are divorced. She comes back and like everything is different. And it's like, how do you go back to normalcy after that? What's the process like? Every stranger, every ordinary situation triggers anxieties, flashbacks, mistrust. So every time she feels like she takes a step forward, she takes 3 steps back. And her journey is unique, absolutely, but I think it's very telling. I think a lot of people have related to it and will continue to relate to it. Because she's very resilient, and I really deeply care about this character. Obviously, I'm like moved by her, like she's a real person. How do you rebuild a life in relationships after missing out on so much? Some of the quotes from the book are: every creak in the floorboard sounded like an echo from the past. And that just means triggers can come from sounds, taste, anything, a name. I still am very terrified of sirens, not because I'm guilty, but sirens. I just remember being in childhood home, stuff like that. So every time that triggers something within me. Don't go to New York City. I went to New York City to see Charlie XCX with Trevor and brother, and best concert ever. There were a lot of sirens, and I'm just like, I'm fine. Also, it's the most populated city in the freaking universe, so I'm just like trying to catch up. It's gonna slow down for me. I'm gay. I walk fast. Anyway, I could remain in fear or remain in hope. I choose hope. I love that line. I could remain in fear or remain in hope. I choose hope because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes after trauma, we are all that remains, and what really remains is someone strong enough to take on anything. So we need to own that. You survived hell and came out okay. We all have had things. That's right. I need to keep that dog. Oh, and that was me at a book signing, my first one at Keaton and Lloyd. That was like 4 years ago, and I love that picture. I do. I was using it for way too long. I was like, I do not look like that anymore. I am not 21. But that was so much fun for my book We Remain. I ran out of books. I brought like 50 books and I ran out. It was such a accomplishment. Everything I do, publishing this is an accomplishment. You helped me see that, so thank you. I love this book very much. The Lost Library. Oh, I love this book. It's nice to be. I used to be very insecure about my writing and think, oh God, no one wants to hear about this. Oh my God, cringe. And maybe it is a little cringe. Whatever. We're all cringe. I mean, being courageous. Oh, goodness. Hold on. Stay. The Lost Library. So I came up with this concept, the Lost Library. It's both a literal place and a metaphor for the psyche. So for everyone in life, we all have things that we keep to ourselves and we bury. There's, you can't tell everyone everything, obviously, but I've met so many people on, just people passing on the street. I would wonder, I'm like, what is their story? Why are they on a rush? I would see twins walking by. I'm just like, how did that happen? No, I just, God, I'm done. But literally, everyone here has been through heartbreak. Everyone here has lost something, gained something, learned something, and I think that's wonderful. You go to a bookstore, you go to a library. There's so many books on the shelf with thousands of different characters, people, and with their own unique experience. And I just think that, yes, we all have our own unique experience, but innately, we are just humans. We all have purpose. We all have a reason we're here. We have people who care about us. And I think we need to hold on to that during the hardships. This book is very important to me because it really helped me gain that individuality, that statement of I don't want to be an angry person because I've been many years thinking I was just going to live in anger forever. And if I did, I would have kind of earned that right because I have seen a lot, but I choose to act with love. I choose to go with kindness first, and maybe people have called me a sap, too sensitive or whatever. I rather be too sensitive and care about other people's feelings than be an asshole. So maybe, yeah, maybe think about how you make other people feel. Everyone has a story to tell. Oh gosh. The balance between escape and confrontation mirrors my own journey of mental health, and I think that's the delicate balance in this book is running away from things to just kind of putting a pin on things that can only do so much until the faucet is leaking. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Um, I just think it's important to stay kind because you don't know what someone's going through. You really don't. So just don't be an ass. I think that's very simple. Like, I mean, but and everyone that comes to the tram are such kind souls. Like, I mean, of course we have their duds here or there, but I have a few names, but I won't say them. They're not here, thankfully. Um, but something that I haven't mentioned is just in my journey and in this character's journey and the Lost Library is they demanded their own recovery, and that's how you make trauma into growth. And by that I mean you have to get creative with your recovery. You have to really invest time in it. You can't just half-ass it. And no, because no one can save you. You have to know yourself and why you're feeling the way you feel. And I remember getting the wrong diagnoses. I don't know. I just wrote 9 books. I'm not saying they're good. I have an editor, a bad one. Not you, not you. Anyway, no one can save you. You really have to be an advocate for yourself, and that's something I learned is you have to be your own hero. One of my favorite authors is Cheryl Rayfield, and she's read my book. Just say it, and that is the biggest honor. And she promoted it, and I was just like, thank you so much. She has a line in her book Stain saying sometimes you have to be your own hero, and I just reading that 2012 2013 it really it's still with me. Then I read this book. I don't remember what it's called, but it's about challenging your mental health, challenging your anxiety, and just being like, not trying to not trying to do a quick fix remedy. It's just kind of like realizing, is this all you got? Like, you have to challenge it and just really take it on because it can't physically harm you. That's something, obviously, it's not a one size fits all. This is something that's really helped me is just kind of embracing it, letting it have a place at the table, questioning it, finding the evidence. That's something I really learned a lot over time is if I'm having doubts or insecurities, it's like, what's making me feel this way? What can I do to fix this? Can I fix this? You really have to question things. It's not just I'm sad, I'm happy. There's a lot of gray. So, and you have to be your own hero. Welcome to the Lost Library. I hope you find what you're looking for. The answers that you seek in the Lost Library, memories that made you lose sleep. This opening summons the reader into Ivy's mind, equal parts promise and a threat. Welcome on into my crazy mind. Healing isn't linear, although I wish it was. I wish it was. And so we remain in the Lost Library. I have a lot to say that I always do. Sagittarius. Um, so when I was starting off, I was doing my first three books were poetry, and I was like, okay, maybe I should just continue this. And another favorite author is Ellen Hopkins, who wrote Crank. She also read my book. And she sold millions of copies of her books, so I don't know how she found me, but thank you. But I told those books in free verse, which is essentially poetry. It has a narrative, beginning and end. But I really was like, looking back a year after these books were published, I was like, it really doesn't differentiate. Help me. Thank you. You know what I'm trying to say. Free, it didn't really. Yeah, I'm deteriorating right now. I'm just saying. So these two books were told in free verse, and I feel like it didn't have a difference between my first three books. It really, what makes it different, what sets it apart, that's really what I was. So I'm going to be re-releasing these books in novel form. So it really is going to make a huge difference because I love We Remain. I love The Lost Library, obviously. I bragged on about it. But it didn't, I can say this, I'm proud of it, but it didn't live up to the full expectations I had because I was trying to do something unique. I thought that would make me stand out. I should have just stayed true to what was real to me. I thought this was going to set me apart. Not a bad thing, trial and error. And it's nice that I'm an independent author. I can do whatever I want, what I want, how I want it. Of course, I want to be in every bookstore, and maybe that day will come. But right now, right now I have all control. I could release these again tomorrow. So right now I'm just working on a new cover. I already finished We Remain. I'm going to probably release that in November, December. It's just I want to give these books the second life that they deserve because I really do think they will help people. So I'm just saying, be on the lookout. Holla. Um, we're almost there. We're almost to Live by the Sword. This is this is a good one.
My favorite.
Is your favorite? I
This is
appreciate
why
it.
I read it.
I know. I appreciate that. I love hearing how your tone when you read some of these. So thank you. So The Boy in the Woods. That's a book. I wrote it. I wrote that. So on the cover, you can definitely see it's a grown man. But if you take the first glance at it, you think like if you see it on here, come after I'm done talking, take a peek. You think it's a child in a raincoat. Think about like that kid from It who got yanked into the sewer. So Georgie. So I don't know. I really wanted to encapsulate that. I can't say words. I just write them. Um, I wanted to put that as a cover because I am still healing my inner child, as we all are. So let's get to it. It's about essentially isolation, childhood, the myths collide, grief meets nature, and escapism. I lived in a forest growing up, and I definitely lived in a forest, and then across the street was another forest. It's a thing. It's a thing. And I used to escape in there. I used to just really get in touch with nature. I was a hippie at age 9 years old. Like I was just like, oh, yeah, this is the life under trees and carving my name. So I used that forest to escape some of the stuff going on, and it was a true safe haven. Some of the lines are I wander lost in the dense forest, ensnared by the thorny brambles of my path. Oh, how I long to reclaim the radiant hues of childhood, the days of innocence and wonder, where each breath held the magic of possibility, and each step forward beckoned towards adventure, desperately seeking the flicker of light that will guide me home to the vibrant world of my youth. So, one thing I like to point out is I've grown as a writer. I feel like each thing I put out, obviously, the more you do something, you get better at it. So just looking like I'm very proud of this. I'm proud of my first book, but I really have studied and trained my brain to improve itself and learn vocabulary words that are more than two syllables. So thank you for taking a chance on me. Another line is a world of chances, just waiting to be explored, where his heart could sing and his soul is restored. The trees stand tall like sentinels of the mind, reminding me of the strength that we can find. A pilgrimage of restoration, a voyage of fortitude, where the torment of the past can no longer intrude. Yet in my heart it will forever stay, a cherished memory that will never stray, a reminder of the love that was mine. My life isn't over yet, I still have time. I spent a long time thinking, oh, I lost so much. I lost so much time. Oh my God, I lost so much. And then while doing that for the next 3, 4 years, I was losing more time by worrying about the lost time and being so consumed in it. I would just lay in bed and being like, God, I missed out on so much. Well, get off the couch, go live life, because you're not in that situation anymore. You're around healthy people. You are around people that only want the best for you. That's different. That's different. But I think the main thing is life isn't over yet. I still have time. So that's Electra. I love her so much. So every book release I should have, looking back, I should have put pictures for every single book I made her model in and watch her get visibly more annoyed every time. Because 9 books and she is smiling and then just the smile just deteriorates over time. It's just like, oh, we're still on this. Like, so I love her. I'll meet you. Oh my God, we're here already. Damn. I'll meet you there. Holy shit. Um, this book, I love this cover so much. I'll meet you there. I've had this concept in my mind for a long time, and I'm going to talk about it. You know. So essentially, I don't even know. Essentially. Hi Arthur. How's it going? You having a good time? Yeah, yeah. Makes one of us. Essentially, it's about this pharmaceutical company. It's this major pharmaceutical company, and this young man named Connor inherits the business from his parents, who recently passed away. So obviously, he's next in line. He didn't really deserve it. It's just we've all heard. Oh, of course, the son got the job. Of course, the son got the promotion. You know what I mean? Even if they're not really qualified, that's him. Screw you, Connor. Should have gone to Nancy.
Oh, not Nancy.
Not Nancy. Nancy worked hard for it. Her and her bob cut, okay? I said, so, Connor is on a mission, essentially, that's my word of the day. I guess so. He's on this mission to resurrect his wife that passed away. So funny. I'm so funny. He's just trying to resurrect his dead ass wife from the dead using this non so modern technology. He's trying to infuse this artificial blood that he made because Rose has this artificial blood named Blood Type X, and he's trying to just find a matching host to bring her back to life. And his obsession with trying to resurrect her and all this, he's trying to get her body put into an android, and he has all these resources but it's such an obsession. He definitely loses sight of who he is as a person, and he does unspeakable acts. And so the main theme is how far will one man go in the name of love? Healthy and unhealthy love. We all know what healthy love looks like. Support, kindness, communication. We all know what unhealthy love is. Connor, you're unhealthy because he wasn't good to Rose anyway. So you find out that he's actually a monster. Posthumanism is not a real word, but we're going to pretend it is. I'm the writer, you're not. The promise and peril of conquering morality. So he is essentially, that's my favorite word today. Is thinking about, because in this laboratory, there's full of androids and AI is literally taking over the world, and it's terrifying. And so that definitely inspired this a little bit. So he's at first trying to bring Rose back into an android, and it's just not going to work out. So he has to find a human host. And but the concept is AI is just going to take over the world and destroy us all one day, and it's happening very soon. Um, and then lastly, I want to talk about how the medical field can feel more transactional than helpful. We've all been to the hospital, $1,000. All you did was put a band-aid on my knee, and now you have to pay increments over and over and over again for the next year. Some people don't even, I hear that line, I can't afford to be sick. I can't afford to go to the hospital. That's America. We're failing. We've been failing for a long time, especially since 2016. You know why? Um, so, facts indeed. I don't know. I feel like I've been in trial and error with medications and stuff like that, and it does definitely feel like help is out there. People can't get the help they really need. People ask for help. Try once, and there's definitely a lot more help out there than you realize. Whoa. That's Connor's working on some androids there. You can't see it because it's very zoomed in. Can grief ever justify the moral cost? That's a theme very parallel with Live by the Sword. Is if grief is overtaking you, does that really give you the right to do some of these awful things, eye for an eye type thing? And then what truly makes us human? Our memories, our bodies, something beyond both, and then also reuniting with oneself, meeting ourselves at the finish line. Rebirth is something very prominent. Why can't I do this today? Prominent in the themes of my book is coming back to yourself, recreation and rebirth. We're almost there. I love this one. Goodbyes as a first language. I am so proud of it. This is the one. I'm proud of everything I've done. I should be, right? No, that's not. This is the. No, I'm doing it in order. So this is the one right before Live by the Sword. So goodbyes as a first language. It's basically in like talking about the lost library. I've met a lot of people in my life, and they've all impacted me in many different ways. And that's what this book is about, essentially. Like some people come in and out of your life, and they leave a mark on you. And what you don't have to always take that as a bad thing. Some people are here. You've heard that. Some people are here for a season, that kind of stuff. And I used to resent that. I'm like, you don't care about me anymore. And people have a lot of things going on. I mean, and again, I appreciate you all coming out here just to hear me talk and talk and talk and talk. So thank you for that. But with this, the narrative of this book is tales of loss, growth, and the beauty of farewell. There's sometimes farewell where, what did I write? Some of the hardest goodbyes lead to the easiest hellos. Hello. Love of my life right there. And it's not just romance. It's me saying goodbye to family, stepmother, stranger coworkers, and just casual conversations I've had with people, and literally left a mark. I mean, the other day I was here at the tram, and poet Raven was talking about how they spoke to their high school teacher and telling them how it made an impact on them. And now I messaged my high school teacher and saying, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have any of these books out. Um, she inspired Mrs. Perry Myers from Mohawk. She inspired me in so many ways, and she encouraged my writing. So it's just the ripple effect. She didn't encourage me there, and she probably was just acting with nature, just acting not on impulse. She was just being supportive. But maybe if she didn't do that, I might not have written anything, And it's just so remember that your kindness really makes a difference. So I've talked a lot about grief, sadness, sad boy shit, and but I don't know. Turning 30, I just stopped caring. I'm like whatever, shit happens, right? I was just traumatized eyes for years. But literally, like at a certain point, you just get so tired of the same cycles over and over and over again. And I don't know, when I 29, turning 30, God, I turned 31 this year. I'm just gonna stop counting. I'm just gonna stop counting. Um, just I could really feel myself reach this. It's not breaking point. This threshold of growth. This threshold of a new milestone. Not just because I'm turning old, but because I realize I really do have control over my life, and there is such thing as necessary hurt. There is room for growth, and something I was told. Someone told me once that they were glad some of the things happened to them, and I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm not glad anything happened to me." And she was like, "Well, I was strong enough to be able to take on this. Someone else might not have been able to, and might have done something worse. I am glad it could have happened to me." It's about perspective, obviously, like but she was strong enough to be able to take on this and not end up in the grave, and that's kind of stayed with me as well. I had strong enough, and I have enough place in my heart to handle the hurt but now most of that hurt is gone, and I have so much love in my heart and enrichment. So I just think writing this book was like not a nail on the coffin, definitely, but because I don't believe in burying things forever. It was definitely kind of opening the casket and just opening Pandora's box and letting nature happen in itself. So necessary hurt. It's room for growth. Goodbyes persist, a constant refrain. Each soul entering quickly departs again. It starts off very sad. Hello, obviously. I am a sad person. But by the end, you're just grateful for all these interactions you've met. In one of the lines, my scars are a map of my journey, and to lose them is to forfeit the very essence of my life. I wouldn't be who I am. Maybe I wouldn't have been as kind without some of the stuff happening. Maybe I would have turned into like a greedy person or just someone who doesn't. What if I ended up as a Trump supporter? Oh no! You know, likelier than you think, sadly. Um, and then, I don't know. Through the is he a Trump supporter, Bradley? I haven't heard you barking in a while. So, another line is through the alchemy of time and introspection, perhaps I'll unearth the elixir to quench my soul's light and find my potential. The alchemy. Who are we to fight the alchemy? You know. And then I had this saved in my phone for like 10 years because it speaks for itself. Sorry, I screamed at the microphone. We're gonna talk about this. The main event finally. So sorry you had to bear all of that. But 1 second. Make sure I don't lose that. So actually, so I've had a little bit of idea for this book for a little bit, but a poem that I wrote for goodbyes as a first language is called Our Pangea, and I just kind of wrote that about how Pangea was once this big landmass, blah blah blah. You know the deal. Y'all went to science class second grade, right? So Pangea was essentially this great landmass that in time drifted, and I kind of related that to some relationships, some friendships that I had over time. Just sometimes you look back and you're like, when did we get like this? How did we get this so far apart from each other? How did we get so distant? So that kind of reflected on itself to by the sword. So I'm going to recite this poem and then we're going to talk about it. Let's roll. Once we roamed a continent of boundless dreams, tethered by cords of passion, sturdy seams. Yet time, that silent sculptor, relentless in its flow, has surrendered us like continents adrift. We now go. This is our Pangea, that ancient relic of Earth's embrace, where we once dared the precipices, our spirits laced, It's marvelous, isn't it? Our shared domain, now fractured by time's relentless seismic strain. No longer do we tread upon common soil. Now miles separate our bond and recoil. The chronicle of time, that ruthless tale, has pulled apart our once mighty sail. Our Pangea, once a monument to unity's might, now lies fragmented, lost in the abyss of night. It's beyond recognizable, this shared sanctuary, our Pangea, torn asunder from our sweet history. The space between us is far too great, and now it's far too late for us. But maybe one day we can reform once more. Okay, so this book came out a month and a half ago. Debuted at number 2 on the independent charts, just saying, which I'm happy with that. It would have been nice if it was number 1, but you know what? Yeah, I mean, obviously, I didn't need to like the. There's an end to that sentence. What was number? It was that project. Yeah, something something Trump related. So that's why I'm extra bitter today. I could have been number 1, but anyway. So let's talk about Live by the Sword. Essentially, it's a dark epic fantasy about resistance and prophecy. The Blackthorns are a resistance group. They're the last hope against an emperor named Morelli, a tyrant trying to reshape the world through blood and prophecy. And some of the other characters, Layman and Lucas, are part of that kind of empire. They're knights. They must decide to follow their heart, knowing that the empire is wrong. They end up joining the Blackthorns, the resistance group, attempting to take down Morelli. And something very important to me was making sure there's no main character. There's an hi Miranda. I haven't seen her in so long. I've seen so many people. I haven't seen in forever, and it just warms my heart. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna like literally start sobbing. Eddie Gay. Um, so one of my favorite shows is Friends. That's nothing to do with it. But when I think of ensemble cast, I think, yeah, everyone in that show is a main character. And no, that wasn't really the inspiration. But when I think of ensemble, I think there's no main character. And everyone has about equal amount of time in this book. Layman, Lucas, Ida, Fritz. It's when we're going to talk about them, there's some amazing characters this book is 600 pages, and I didn't want to. I'm like, y'all. I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna have to put a bomb in the middle of something random because y'all need to stop talking. Like they just kept coming to me. So I just really wanted to make a character-driven story. Every character has some deep backstory. So we're gonna talk about it. So some of the themes. There's a lot of themes that I went with, and I wrote this down. I put so much heart into this book because I wrote maps. I wrote the pages of character bios. This person is connected to this person, and this person's eighth cousin, and it's just some information that's never going to see the light of day in the book. But I wanted you have to make them as real as humanly possible, or else they fall through the cracks. So some themes are compassionate leadership and morals and ethics. So one of the main characters, Ida, she's the leader of the Blackthorns, the huge resistance group trying to take down the Empire. She says, I stand here not as a leader, but as one of you. We are the Blackthorns, and we will not falter. Her emphasis on we and not I contrasts sharply with Morelli's singular quest to reshape the world by force. So essentially, that's my favorite word today, and I'm going to keep pointing to you every time I say it. Morelli is trying to reshape the world with this prophecy using these scriptures of Fantasia, and he has reasons. We'll get to them. He's trying to make sure Pangea happens again, and he's very hell bent on it. The way he does things is very different. He will kill anyone in his way. Very ruthless leader. So as you can see, kill him if he hesitates. It reveals how absolute power corrodes morality, while the Blackthorn's council circle shows that true strength arrives when every voice is heard and hurt is shared. The power of choice, Layman's crisis of conscience. So in the beginning of the book, I don't know, if something doesn't feel right, it hasn't felt right for a long time. He really wants to just leave. But you can't just leave the empire in this world. It's you leave, you're dead. That kind of thing. So treason, you're getting marked for treason. You're a heretic. That kind of stuff. So the first chapter or few, he's juggling like I don't know, like he's ultimately the first bit of the book. There's this attack on this city named Ava, and there's a moral conflict there. He's witnessing so many people, so many casualties, so much cruelty, and that was the breaking point. He's like, I can't do this anymore. This isn't who I am. And so his arc reminds us that true courage often lies in questioning orders, not just carrying them out, and creating your own destiny, which is definitely a theme. Sense more to life is just recreating your own path. So another character named Ash left the Empire. He was also a knight. He left the Empire to join the Blackthorns, searching for a better life. Layman and Lucas would do the same. And all three of these characters are very different. Layman is definitely a lot more reserved, closed in. Lucas was very, let's bow down to the Empire, and just kind of more of a brute, kind of a dick. And Ash is very sensitive, very jokester, very not naive. What's the other word for naive? Something like that. Hey, we'll go with naive. Gullible. But yeah. So at what point does survival become complicity? So as Layman was doing this, just kind of just being a bystander, he was like, I never wanted to hurt anyone. I was forced into a life I didn't ask for. It just kind of illustrates how following orders can strip away one's moral core. I've done a lot of things in my life that didn't sit right with me. Like my boss would tell me to do something. I don't know anything. Like we've all been had to question our integrity for things, or if I overhear something and I'm like that doesn't sit right with me, turning a blind eye, being a bystander can be just as bad as doing the crime itself. Being in school, bullies, all these things. If you just ignore it and let this victim kind of suffer, you're just as bad, maybe worse, honestly, because you could probably help. And just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, Arthur. Stand up for people, okay? Don't let people get hurt. Maybe we can't erase what we did, but we can choose who we are now, and that has to count for something. I love that line that I wrote. I'm just like, because it's true. Like, we've all done some awful things in life. No one's perfect.
Chills.
Chills, roll. Chills, I love you. Thank you. Say it again. But we choose our own destiny, no one else but us. Community and chosen family. This is the biggest part of the theme. The Blackthorns, they are definitely chosen family. In the darkest of times, the Blackthorns have each other. They are hidden. They have secret hideouts all across the country, and it's underground. It's a sanctuary for them. Just kind of you think underground. It's dirt hallways. I don't know how they did it, but also I don't know how the people built the pyramids either. So just roll with it. Plot armor. Blackthorns have each other. They all were searching for something in life, searching for community, safety. We'll make this place something different, a home for all of us, a place where kindness thrives. The world is a cruel place, the fictional world and the real world, and being around community, like the Tramontane Cafe has been for me, has changed my life forever. So thank you, Garrett and Robin. I know it's a lot of work, and a lot of work putting up with a lot, but I hope it enriches your heart to know you touch many, many, many hundreds, thousands of people. So thank you for doing what you do. um, in quieter moments, the twins. I haven't even mentioned the twins yet. I'm so bad at this. The twins are needed to complete the prophecy. Morelli's after them. Long story short. Okay. Twins and Rylan, they're the youngest of the Blackthorns. They are just being kids, and there's this beautiful scene where after the attack on Ava, they're just running around. They're just playing tag, and it's just so beautiful because they're not war victims in this scene. They're people, and that's what this book is about. These are just people just trying to survive the human condition, survive a war. They're just looking for a better life that isn't taken out because of the empire's ruling. So I'm just saying, just saying. In a world where birth families are scattered or slain, the Blackthorns become a chosen family. A lot of the characters in this book suffered losses. It's war. And this is kind of like after a long disease like the Black Plague type thing. So there ain't a lot of people. So anyway, hi Grace. Hi. I love you. I told her like shh when you walk in, and I'm every time someone comes in, I'm like, hi, how you doing? Uh, chosen family. Trans become my chosen family. It's just their campfire banter and shared cups of tea are more than comfort. It's affirmation that belonging is human necessity. In life, we're all just trying to belong. In life, we're just trying to find a home, a home away from home. We're all just trying to discover where we belong, and that's just the human experience. We people were like, I'm better off alone, and I think that we've all probably have said that, but we all just want to be loved. Obviously, we all just say, I just want to be alone, I don't care about other people, because you're probably wounded from other people's actions. However, not everyone is going to hurt you. There are so many good people in this world. I remember having that revelation like 3 years ago. Wow, everyone wants to hurt me. Interesting. I guess I'll think about that. And the Blackthorns have this safe haven called Hollow's Haven, and that is their home. That is where their escape is. That's where they can be themselves and be calm, cool, and collected. Um, we learn that for humans, survival isn't enough. We yearn for community, for people who see us and stand by us through the darkness. That's community. That's chosen family. A question popped into Ryland's head. Oh, this is quite a scene. He asked Ida almost offhandedly, do you miss being a parent? Ida is one of the main characters. She lost her family, kids, and it's just brutal. I don't talk about that though, because I will never put kids being tortured in a book, I promise. Um, she says, I suppose I do miss the feeling of being a parent, of looking after someone closely. Ida said, her voice thoughtful. But I guess I never really stopped being one. Just the people I take care of changed. She gave him a small smile. It's not really about being a parent to a kid, it's about caring for people. You, Ryland, are someone I look after in my own way. I think you can be a caretaker without being someone's actual parent. I still have that instinct and that care for others. I suppose it's just who I am, Ryland said, quietly for a moment, clearly turning the idea over in his mind. So it's not like you just stop being a parent one day. Nope, Ida said with a light chuckle. I don't think you ever stop being a parent, even if you don't have kids. You just find different ways to look after people. She glanced at him with a playful grin, and maybe that means making sure you don't fall into the river while you're daydreaming. And I just what? I love you. I met this woman a year ago, and she lost her child, and I sat with her for like 4 hours, just sitting and talking. Never saw her again. And these are the people that make a mark on you. I just thought about. She's like for many years, she tried to have a kid, and that's what makes it. She had this disease called, this condition called endometriosis, and a lot of women suffer from that, and it's such an awful experience. I wouldn't know. I don't have a uterus, um, but technology may change that in the near future. Uh, she just told me like she looks out for strangers on the street. She looks out for her nephew. She looks out for college friend. She just, she's still a mother at heart. She'll always be a caretaker. She'll always be a lover. And I think that's something I really put in Ida's character. She is a very caring person. So I just want to talk about that. In a different scene, I'm still on Chosen Family. Lucas says to Layman, you're like a brother to me. We've both been through too much to throw away the chance we've got here at Hollow Haven. Their conversation shows that family can both be an anchor and a compass through the moral storms. Haven's Hollow, home was carved into stone, communal, meeting places. To those within, it was less a fortress than a sanctuary. Places earn their names when people breathe life into them. A hidden base becomes a home when shared stories and struggles fit into halls. Home is not a brick or a physical location, but the embrace of a community that welcomes you back, no questions asked. So that's Ida. You can't see it very well. My friend Sasha drew that. Sorry it's dark, but you can see the braid. Ida has a braid. uh, so when Ava burns, the regime narrative leads to its own preferred conclusion before the facts are known. Um, wait, hold on. Don't read that. Oh yeah, I missed that one. Politics and media manipulation. Very relevant in today's life. What? I just you ever see there's so much staged nonsense. I mean, there's so much bullshit in this world that nothing you see on the internet's real at all. So there's always people like, what? Just so what? So, when Ava burns, the narrative leads to a preferred conclusion before the facts are known. On the flickering TV, the anchor intones, authorities confirmed that the rogue insurgents known as the Blackthorns orchestrated a deadly attack on Ava, resulting in mass casualties and widespread destruction. These extremists have once again proven themselves to be a danger to society. So, the Blackthorns are the resistance group, but they're often described as terrorists by the media, mainly because of how Morelli shapes things. And, we know someone who likes to shape things. Yet inside Hollow's Haven, the rebels know the truth, layman explains. But that's not even true. Morelli directed us to invade. That's a lie. By seizing footage of the chaos, media manipulation, tugging on the heartstrings of civilians in distress, even children, broadcasting it as evidence and fabricating the truth. Any act of resistance, however measured, becomes evidence of terror. These criminals are to be reported immediately upon sighting. Any citizen found harboring them will face severe consequences. And then Haley says, they're painting us as monsters. After witnessing, oh yeah, sorry, I wasn't done. They're painting us as monsters, Haley said. So obviously, I just said that media is really, yeah, I feel ya. Me too. Um, painting us as monsters, they really believe that there's this terrorist group, and that's just for many reasons. But the media there's newspaper prints, there's articles, there's all this stuff and so they have to stay in hiding because people will report them. People will do all these things. They have to be stealthy in order to obtain food, and that's the life of them. If you are a Blackthorn, you're a heretic. You're ostracized. So I just wanted to talk about that. So Ash has been with them for a while, but he's starting to question a couple things too. After witnessing the Blackthorn's eye for an eye situation, I won't say the situation, but it happens in the back of Ash's mind, a thought lingered. Maybe, just maybe, the line between right and wrong have always been more blurred than he cared to admit. Perhaps the Blackthorns and the Empire and all of humanity are monsters. That's something to think about because the Blackthorns have also done a lot of things. Yeah, they're not exactly the terrorists that they're claiming to be, but how many, it's like that old saying, or that analogy where it's two train tracks, one person here, 20 people here, you're going to kill 20 people or one person, it's still not good things being drawn out. So he's questioning some things also. There's that. Morals and ethics part two. A lot of moral dilemmas. We're almost done, I promise. Pangea shall be reborn. The continents shall merge once more. All will fall beneath my rule, Morelli says. The prophecy ceases to be a beacon of hope and instead becomes a hammer, forging obedience through fear. Duality of prophecy and inspiration versus prophecy as tyranny raises urgent questions about what a vision surpasses its creator and demands sacrifice of basic humanity. Morelli's own admission captures his insatiable hunger for total control and will stop at nothing to accomplish his goal. He invades, he will kill, he will anyone who stands in his path of trying to complete his prophecy. You're out. You're done. You're donezo. Ryland questions this with Ida. How does Morelli feel so good about hurting others? Ryland asks, watching the flames dance in front of him. I'm not sure if he feels good about it, Rylan, Ida began, her voice steady but lined with the weariness he hadn't expected. Maybe he does, I don't know. But I do know he's convinced it's necessary to gain control, to keep everyone in line. Power, fear. They're all vital tools to him. He doesn't see people, he sees assets, means to an end. Rylan leaned forward, his elbows resting on his knees. But how can anyone live like that? How can he keep going knowing what he's done? Ida's gaze softened. She knew exactly what Rylan meant. It was the same question she had asked herself 1,000 times, but there were no answers, at least not the kind that could make any sense of the twisted world Morelli had created. Rylan, she said gently, Morelli doesn't want connection, not the way we do anymore. He doesn't want to be vulnerable, to share his thoughts or his soul with anyone. What he wants is control, to be the one pulling the strings, never the one caught in someone else's grip. He believes the only way to protect himself is to break everyone else. And that's the contrast between Ida and Morelli. Morelli used to be a good guy, but he lost himself. He simply lost his mind, and that's why he doesn't feel anything inside. None of his efforts will fill that little void inside him. Nothing will satiate that man. He will go to the end of the world to do whatever it takes. Ryland's voice softened, almost wistful. Maybe he didn't lose himself. Maybe he just decided who he wanted to be. Ida let those words sit with her for a while. But doesn't it ever break him? Doesn't he ever regret it? Regret is for those who still have a conscience, and Morelli hasn't had one for a long time. I think somewhere along the way he stopped feeling, she said, her voice barely a whisper. It's easier to hurt others when you're convinced yourself that you're in the right, that you're doing what needs to be done, that you're untouchable. But how can anyone live like that? There has to be more to life. There has to be more to life than power and fear. What's the point of all of it if you can't even connect with others? Regret. Wait. Oh, I must. Oh, I must have done it twice. Meanwhile, Fritz is staring into the flames, watching the embers flicker and pulse. He's talking to Laban in this. I used to believe in heroes, but the truth is everyone is broken in some way. There isn't a person in this world who hasn't been shattered by something. The difference is what you do with those broken pieces. Raymond studied them. And what do you do with yours? I found someone who understands them. I did too. Same. How you doing? Um, Finding people that truly understand the language of your soul matters. I hope you don't end like period. I hope you don't end like him. I can't promise I won't. Ida struggles with the fact that she's changed over the years. She's still a compassionate person, but much like most people in the war, she's breaking down. She's compromised her morals, hoping it would be for the greater good. Who really is the monster in all this? Survival isn't merely living day to day, it's remembering why it matters. Being alive becomes proof of purpose, sparking a resolve not only to endure, but to rebuild what was lost. Live by the sword shows that beneath hardened armor or grandiose visions, we are all people just trying to survive the human condition. These small acts of eating, hiding, rowing, and clinging to each other become the truest measure of our humanity. I did that one. I must have really liked that one. I put it on you 3 times. Um, it's important, damn important, when Ava burns. Vulnerability as strength. Showing your scars doesn't make you weak, it humanizes you. Ida buried her face in her hands, a sob tearing its way away from her throat. I used to be the tough one. What happened to me? Ida's unguarded grief by the fire reminds us that the true leaders aren't unbreakable. They're honest about their pain. The toll of the war truly is taking a toll on Ida and the scene. The Blackthorns and the rest of the world have seen so much death, it's impossible for anyone not to be fractured by the state of the world. Very true today, too. Keeping your humanity, whatever that means. Nostalgic yearning for normalcy, something I strived for many, many years. And my life is sort of normal right now, and it was unsettling and weird to accept for a long time. I'm like, I don't get this. I don't understand. I don't know what peace is. It's really weird. Monica was here the other night, and she said, "I'm happy." It's weird. It is weird when you're not used to it. In War Shadow, remembering life's small pleasures become an act of resistance. But the best thing I've ever had, this is a scene, but the best thing I ever had, a chocolate milk stout. It was years ago. Damn, that was something else. And these characters are just over a fire, lamenting over half-charred marshmallows by a flickering campfire. They aren't plotting strategy. They're just reclaiming moments of hope. And so during these epic battle scenes, and there's many of them, buckle up, motherfuckers. Um, there's also these moments of quiet contentment. There's these moments where they're just talking about baked bread and talking about stillness in the air, and it's just wild that these highs are so high, and then they're just talking, and they're just people trying to survive this life, aren't we all? Later in the book, there's a character. I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just saying there's a character named Lila in Coleman. Coleman is has seen it all. Coleman is very guarded, suspicious of everyone, suspicious of everyone. So it's okay to take it easy here, Lila says. You don't have to be so on guard all the time. We have all ended up here with our own tragic backstory. Returning to the themes of the Lost Library, we all truly do have our own story. Survival isn't about winning wars, it's about remembering we're all just people, and sometimes the smallest kindness or quietest conversation is the spark that keeps our humanity alive. Ida is saying this to Layman. Layman is a very kind soul. You're a clean soul. Don't let this world taint you. Promise me. Layman may not know what comes next, but he vows that he will not let the bitterness turn him into the monster he despises. A reminder that reinvention can honor past selves while adapting to new realities. Finding oneself again often begins with the decision to stop running, rebirth, and the promise of a new dawn. After every catastrophic battle, characters don't just rebuild walls, they rebuild themselves. The planting of new orchids around Haven's Hollows symbolize our perpetual hope. Even amid ash and ruin, human beings look to the future, confident that each sunrise carries the possibility of healing. I must have wanted to say something else, but I didn't. I Oh my god, I think we're nearing the end, y'all. Hype. Your ass is numb. Live by the sword insists that the greatest battle is not for territory or prophecy, but for the integrity of one's soul. The project reminds us that all these characters, heroes, villains, or something in between, are simply people just trying to survive. Whether they wield magic or steel, they struggle with fear, guilt, love, and longing. Borelli's grand designs and the Blackthorn's humble acts both spring from the same well, the desire to shape one's own destiny and to connect with others in a fractured world. And Live by the sword, these threads weave a tapestry of the human condition. We are all once vulnerable and unbreakable, capable of both cruelty and boundless compassion. It's our imperfect choices, our small acts of care, and our stubborn refusal to let go of one another that define us, especially in the darkest times. Oh my god, we're done with Live by the Sword. Oh, it's a book. Yeah, I wrote it. That I wrote. Oh my gosh. So, to wrap this long ass speech up, I'm like, I'll be up here 20, 30 minutes. Oh my God. What's next? After, I'm done talking about this. More books, more risks, more soul, new collections, new edits, new truths. Stay tuned. Come with me. I have been working a lot on new books. I have a few things coming up. This book is coming out in about April, and the legs. Do you know what I'm trying to reference here? Is anyone?
Cowboy in the Woods.
No, I'm trying to reference like Wizard of Oz and stuff. So yeah, obviously that's the back cover. I would have words on it eventually. And that's the front cover. That's the spine and stuff like that. So that's coming out in April. Essentially, it's kind of I've always wanted to write like a road trip type thing that's not bad. There's a lot of road trip books that are bad. I've read. I'm like, wow, there's no depth here. And when I was like 14, I wrote like a short story called On My Way, and it's just about these kids who just go and they find themselves, and they're way too young to be on their own. But they figure life out, and so it's not that at all. But I've always wanted to write something like this, and then also Message in a Bottle. I don't know when these are coming out. I'm not gonna lie. Message in a Bottle is all I can do. But this one is very near and dear to me. It's fiction, but it's that closure I talked about. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but this is a novel about these adults who went through some stuff. Not about me at all. And every time they would go to the beach, their mom would write a little letter, put it in a bottle, and then just kind of send it out in the water and just so eventually that lake dries up, and it just and so the now adults kind of go visit that lake just cause, and they find all those bottles, and their mother passed away, so they're just kind of opening one up and finding more about how their mother really was and their parents and their backstory, and it's very riveting and exciting, and I love that concept. I was just like, well, what if? And a lot of my books start off with what if, so yeah, we all remember that.
Wait, why do your books start with what if?
What?
Why do your books start with?
It starts with a question, like, and then that insatiable need to get that question answered. Like, what if? I don't know. It just starts with a question. I don't know. It just kind of starts with, I want to know more about why these characters are doing these things. And, you'd think I would know just like that. But I find out just by writing. Was that?
More like a reference to your childhood?
I mean, this one really isn't. I wouldn't say. I mean, like, of course, I'll always add a little bit of inspiration in my books. I mean, there's themes I want to just kind of touch on always, but I'm definitely trying to steer away from. I'm definitely going to keep writing poetry. I'll definitely keep on publishing poetry, but I definitely want my novels to be more not me. I've talked about me enough. But this one definitely me to it. But I'm a contradiction. I'm just writing stuff, and if it connects with me, it connects with me. But it's just I love writing books, and so often when I write books, I have an outline, I have bullet points, but 90% of it just kind of transforms, takes a life of its own. So it never ends up the way I thought it would. So that's message in a bottle, and then this one. I've been wanting to get out for 5 years.
I know about her.
You know about her? Oh my gosh. So I came up with this idea when I was 15. I've been working on this book for so long. It's gonna come out in 2080. I swear. It's not even that long. It's like 300 pages. But I need this book to be perfect because it was this idea I got when I was 15 and about someone who passes away and then they're a writer and it's not about me. I promise. No, it's about a writer who passes away, and then their friends and family want to get their book published, their art published into the world, so they have a lasting legacy. And, it's so beautiful. I'm so proud of that one, and I want it to be something I'm very proud of. That's why it's been in the vault for so long. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, my God. Thank you for coming. I think you just have a website. I have TikTok. I got all the socials. Check it out. My website, go to www.jacoblasher.com. I just updated it again today. It's very gnarly. And then I want to give special thanks to the Tram for allowing me to take up space. Support them always. Come here on Poetry Night. Come here on just a random Tuesday. Come here on a random Friday. Just come here and support them. This place needs to be here. And I just want to say thank you again for coming out today. That's it. Okay. I'm going to be over here if you want to say hi. Oh, wait, I have a chair over there. Oh, my goodness gracious. That was fun. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do what you got to do, sire. Sure.
I like the disco balls.
You like the disco balls?
Yeah, the disco.
They're so cool.
He's been so patient.